Welcome to Pragim Technologies. I am Venkat. This is part 51 of ASP.NET video series. In this session, we'll discuss about the different page navigation techniques that are available in ASP.NET. Page navigation techniques. This is a very common interview question. This question can be asked in several different ways. For example, what are the different page navigation techniques that are available in ASP.NET? Or how do you link pages in an application? Or how do you move from one web form to another web form in ASP.NET? Obviously, there are several ways to navigate between web forms in an ASP.NET web application. For example, we can make use of the hyperlink control, response.redirect, server.transfer, server.execute, cross-page postback, window.open using JavaScript. We will be talking about the techniques from 2 to 6 in the subsequent video sessions. In this session, we'll talk about the hyperlink control. In fact, we have spoken about the hyperlink control in part 13 of the ASP.NET video series. If you haven't watched that part, I would strongly encourage you to do so before continuing with the session. The hyperlink control is used to navigate to another page. The page you want to navigate to is specified by the navigate URL property. Using the hyperlink, we can navigate to another page within the same application or to an external website that's hosted on the same web server or on a different web server. The hyperlink control is actually rendered as an HTML anchor tag. Let's look at that in action. I have a simple ASP.NET web application project here. I just have one web form. Let me quickly add another web form. So webform2.aspx. Now let's drag and drop the hyperlink control onto the web form. Now the important thing to notice here is that the hyperlink control is actually the ASP.NET server-side control. Okay, now I'm going to set the navigate URL property here. Navigate URL is equal to, I want to navigate to webform2.aspx. So let me change the name. So webform2.aspx, and let's set the text to go to webform2. Okay. Alright. So now notice this. This is an ASP.NET hyperlink control. Now let me run this project. When the page loads, the hyperlink control will actually be converted into an HTML anchor tag because the browsers will not understand the ASP.NET server controls. They only understand HTML, and it's the responsibility of the server to convert these ASP.NET controls into the HTML controls that can be understood by the browser. So if I right click on the browser now and view source, look at this. The hyperlink control is actually rendered as an anchor tag. Okay, the navigate URL property is now specified as the href property, and the text is actually wrapped in between the opening and closing tag of the anchor tag. Okay, so now when I click this one, look at the URL. The URL here is webform1.aspx. Now when I click go to webform2, look at that, the URL is changed to webform2. Now this is important to keep in mind. The hyperlink control changes the URL in the browser window, and it remembers the history, because some of the techniques that we have to navigate between web forms do not change the URL, and they do not remember the history. So when we compare this, somebody can ask you an interview question like, what is the difference between a hyperlink control and server.transfer, because server.transfer doesn't change the URL. Okay, and another point to keep in mind as far as the hyperlink control is concerned, now using the hyperlink control we have seen how to navigate to a page within the same application. Okay, but let's say I want to navigate to a page that's present on a different web server. Now this ASP.NET web application is running on my local machine, on my local web server, but then let's configure this hyperlink control to navigate to a different website. Let's say I want to navigate to pragimtech.com, and that's definitely not hosted on my machine. On pragimtech.com, I want to go to home.aspx page. So this page is on a different website that's present on a different web server. Okay, can I use hyperlink to go to a website that's present on a different web server? Absolutely. And let's change the text to go to maybe Pragimtech. Okay, so let's run this now. So go to Pragim Tech. Obviously, look at the URL. It's currently localhost webform 1, but when I click go to Pragim Tech, it's actually going to pragimtech.com, a website that's hosted on a different server. Okay, so using hyperlink control, we can navigate to a page that's present in the same application, or to an external website that's present on a different web server. Okay, that's important to keep in mind as well, because using some of these techniques, again, we cannot navigate to a website that's hosted on a different web server. So when we compare and contrast these different page navigation techniques, we should be able to point out those differences. And it's important to understand these concepts discussed here for two reasons. Number one, there could be several interview questions based on page navigation techniques, and number two, when you are actually working on a project, depending on the application requirement, if you understand the concepts properly, you'll be able to pick and choose the technique that best suits your application needs. We will be talking about the techniques from 2 to 6 in the subsequent video sessions. On this slide, you can find resources for ASP.NET, C# and SQL Server interview questions. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.